Morning, fellow zombies. Are we alive yet? Are we awake yet? A shout out to a Mr. Tom Powell Jr., Blue Sky Social, not to mention on the YouTube. What's going on, dude? It's 9:05 in the morning, West Coast time. It is December the 27th of 2024, the Weaver John C. of Rosamond, California. The armpit of the Antelope Valley of Southern California. Been trying to keep up with your material on YouTube, on the shorts. I've been staying away from some of the other media formats. I'm getting me sick to my stomach. Well, after I'm listening to all the rhetoric of people going at people left and right, just hissing and spitting, I have to stay away from media platforms, at least a lot of them. Blue Sky I'll do every once in a while just to see what kind of stuff's going on, but I stay the hell away from Twitter. Do I really want to be feasting on that insanity? Apparently everybody else does. They're brainwashed and brain dead into it. They want it. They need to find out what's going on, so they have to find out what's the gossip. It's like worse than dealing with Karen neighbors out there. Excuse me, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, it's him again. What do you think you're saying? What do you think you're doing? You can't do that because I say so. The algorithms on YouTube and Facebook are getting more and more irritating, especially when they keep producing that kind of material, I keep seeing. And it's a perpetuating cycle. I can't get past the damn thing unless I put something on there, unless I can see something that's maybe of interest. Cruise ships would be nice. During a holiday season that we're getting out of, at least one portion of it, on my YouTube channel I do the format of the Diary of a Griever named John Weaver, which is me. I'm talking about my personal crap left and right. Political viewpoints, observations, but not as heavily as I've seen everybody else trying to get into. And it still makes me sick to my stomach. So I don't get what people are trying to get after you and everyone else who's also independent. I'm not an influencer. No way in hell. I talk about things that affect me, and politics is one of them. And over the past, I don't know how many decades we've been going through this round and round. It's gotten worse and worse. You apparently have chewed more real estate than I have, so to speak, chronologically speaking at this point. So surely you must have seen some stuff back in the 70s and 80s that would be calm and placid, maybe somewhat to a point, to what we're seeing right now as it is. And what we're seeing right now is more of the young stallions trying to put out the old lions who are still trying to court disaster to keep their own interest alive. And corporate media, or just corporations, period, are trying to influence and take control over everything and just go nuts. I talk about it on my channel as well. I also talk about the things that we've already been alerted to a long time ago, but we just fail to understand and learn about it. Yeah, I talk about my college experiences. Doesn't make me elitist, just a thing I'm trying to do to take care of a promise and maybe something to prove to myself. There's nothing wrong with going to higher education when one knows how to afford it. And I have been lucky enough to get back into it twice. First time as a kid, I had to work my ass off, part-time jobs, just to get into the registration fee. Let alone the books, or a different story altogether. Or the other fees that the college would charge. Oh yeah, that wasn't bad enough. How about rent? So whatever monies I'd had to earn while I was going through high school, I put them into a fund and then work my ass off and then screw up 2 years of it and get kicked out and Ma pissed off. When I do my channel, if people actually saw it, they'd seen some changes in the background a lot. Well, this is like a couple of days after Christmas. I'm keeping the Christmas decorations limited these days, but that's almost back to its normal. Background you see is the memorial. Both brother and mother and several dogs, which are still considered families. And when I talk about emotions, I talk about memories. That's part of the diary of the griever shtick. When I'm talking about politics or anything else, I put on the zombie shtick. This is the zombie from Rosemont, California. So basically, this is like an introduction saying, how you doing? And yeah, I caught some of the stuff that you were promoting out there too, of all the negative guys saying, well, I think you stink. Why don't you get a shave? Why don't you get a haircut and get a real job? I'll throw a grab at him. Throw a little George at him for that one. What's wrong with your missing teeth? I got missing teeth? You mean I ain't Gary Hayes yet? You young gathered whippersnapper? Let him come. Let him bellyache, let him bitch. All you gotta do is laugh at the bastards anyway. That's all you gotta do is just laugh at them. They're gonna tell you one thing, they're gonna tell you another thing. So, all you gotta do is stick out your tongue at them. I do. I also flip them off. I don't have that many followers. I'm a pain in the ass. What I am is what I am, and I don't go out attacking people unless there's a damn good reason for it. And sometimes there isn't a good reason for it. I don't give them enough air. I don't give them the oxygen. I don't give them the fuel, and I sure as hell don't give them the heat enough. I was told a long time ago by a firefighter when I was going through elementary, and firefighters came to our school one day, and they were teaching us about fire safety. 3 elements they gave us. How fires would need to survive. A lot of heat, fuel, and oxygen. Put that in a political context. I also threw out word said 3 times because they don't bother to get it or they don't care to get it. A word, history, history, history. If you chewed enough real estate and enough time, you'd understand more. You would have the maturity and perspective on it. And unfortunately, the older generations that we had been accustomed to, we thought they didn't know anything until we got to their age. We're smacking our heads upside the foreheads there and trying to say, we got it now. Unfortunately, they're silent in the graves or mortuaries. So the younger generation has got to learn it the hard way. I keep telling them about Aristotle a lot. Now, granted, I'm not hip on all of his material. When I was going through school, through K through 12, they don't cover Aristotle. Only when you get into the collegiate level do they actually talk about Aristotle. But in a very specific classroom. It's not history, maybe literature, political science, anybody? Yeah. So with that being said, I had some majors when I came back into college nearly a decade ago. I wanted to see if this old fart would be able to do it. And I kept seeing politics mutate and change into so many formats I can't even tell what it is anymore. Except I know it's. I know you're going to say, what else is new? Brings me back to what I was asking about. Had you ever seen the politics back in the 70s and 80s, or nearly 90s, when you were watching all these programs? You ever heard of McLaughlin Group? Staunchest conservative group, and they would go after the Democrats like crazy. But they go after policies, they don't go after the person. They don't make personal attacks, and they didn't tell people to go personal attacks. Because what they wanted was discussions that they can overcome. I've seen the independents acting more and more smug-like. I've seen better a long time ago, but then again, it was through eyes of a child. Now I'm looking at age as an adult. Both sides are smug as hell. I counted myself a long time ago as being liberal and democratic. My family was it. My mother, my brother. We were raised in that kind of style. But we also got conservative paperwork to match up and to see if some of their stuff was a lot more interesting instead of the democratic. The progressives wanted more and more. They wanted to see things being built like crazy. And you know what the thing is when I kept saying about history, history, history there, dude? Forgive me. Mr. Powell, sir? Do you ever remember American history when we got the party started out originally? How much they hated each other, how much they went after each other left and right. But they were in Congress, they were elected by the people, so they had to make compromises, and they didn't like it. Headstrong, pride, egotistical. Sound familiar? But we had party, the Republican Party, who wanted progress, advancement, build, build, build. We had a conservative Whig, I think. The Democrats of the South, basically. The Dixiecrats, they call them. Keep things the way they are. Don't make changes. Don't make waves. We don't want it. Somewhere. Either, I think, at the end of the 1800s to the beginning of 1900s, they flipped. They changed. Republicans are now the well, they changed into conservatives, and they were still called Republicans, but now they're the ones that had the South and the thinking of conservative. And we're conservation all the damn time. Conserve and preserve their screwed up ways, but they still want more money. But so did the Democrats, if I understood history. If I was trying to understand what the professors and teachers are still trying to explain. We wanted progress. We wanted progress for humanity. We wanted progress in people having freedom. Imagine how our civil rights movements were being handled. From the women to anybody who wasn't white. But was there any movements that anyone recall coming from the Native Americans, or shall we call it the people, or indigenous? Not recorded or not told. And if there was, buried alive, or just buried, period. We had Indians fighting for their freedom. We have memorials left and right. But did we have any constant civil rights movements from the Indian nations? Even to this day. Quite. Absolute quiet. No, but we'll have loudmouths coming out. Bellyache. Scream and yell. They think they know better. And when I hear the independents flip-flopping on this one, and when I hear the corporate media is flip-flopping on this one, I don't think we ever progressed much. No, I think we're stagnant still. Another 4 years of this stuff. Actually, 2 years. You remember 2016, Mr. Powell? We had the House. We had the executive. We had them under a Trumplicant. But they couldn't get anything done. And then we had a divided Congress, even worse, when we actually had the Senate in charge. Democrats running it. And they were trying to pass laws, but we still had a gas bag in office. People keep forgetting history. They don't want to learn about it. They just want to create chaos and confusion. They attack. We attack back. They attack again. We attack back. We fight. We're constantly doing this at each other. But the thing is, the nature about our political system is that's how it's supposed to be. See, in the system that we've got, the democratic system may have been the weakest thing out there. But people don't want to hear about that. They just want to hear that they're going to be the dominating, bullying party. But our system's supposed to give the weaker party more of a voice as well, to be heard, to see if they can sway the majority. And right now, because we have a lot of rich folks out there doing that, that's why Aristotle called democracy the weakest thing we have. It's supposed to allow freedom when it's actually working in the theoretical models, but realistically, most easily controlled, and no wonder everybody wants to flip over to autocratic. Yeah, I learned a lot of terminology, but I was trying to apply it on how and what and who are all these terminologies I learned in political science. How to identify people and this kind of thing, and this kind of thing. And you know what I hear? Word salad. Word salad. I keep asking myself, is the college education that I got easily enough stored in my aging brain or not? I mean, hell, if I actually had the fire and interest back then, maybe I would have kept the word salad in there and made sense of it. These days, it's like trying to deal with a Waldorf salad and trying to get nutritional value out of that damn thing. And I keep hearing the left and right throwing it out left and right. And I'm watching some of the tubes. Guys are trying to sound like they're the most intelligent guys out there, and yet, oh, look at me, I can do this word salad over here, and I can tear apart this poor kid over here. I got 5-1 over here. Yeah. Got named Luke Beasley out there and wanted to challenge these guys. He got on there and depending on whose viewpoint. The bully's viewpoint, that they bullied him to death. And Luke's laughing it off, and so is a few other people out there of the independents laughing it off. But don't you understand? We're doing this and we're doing that. Aren't we scary? Aren't we intelligent? You gotta do it I right. And I'm watching these guys. I'm like, oh, give me a fucking break. Yeah, I can try arguing with these guys if I wanted to. My question is, I keep looking at them with Biddy. I'm like, you guys just don't know what the hell you're talking about. All throughout the word salad. Go ahead. Don't you understand what I'm talking about? I want a definition. I want a definition of this. Give me a definition for this thing. I think I'd look at the guy and just like, anything else? You invited me to this little cocktail party of yours. This little gangbuster situation. You're going to bust me up with your gang. Okay. Keep talking. You're listening. We won. We won. We won. Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh, and the whiners who won constantly whine and bellyache. Because some of these people know what's in for it for round two. Because the bullies will start up their autocratic idiocies again. Some people had the nerve to compare it to what happened back in the 1930s and 40s. As I said before, history, history, history. You got to go back further where the trigger points were and how these things started up. If we're going to be bringing back the ghosts of World War II, then we got to go into World War I for it and understand the actions that led up to World War II to understand what happened. The older I get, the worse it gets. I'm understanding more and more, and it seems like I want to find a high mountain just to hide on it. Not to live as a licensed man, no. But as a man who's sad about his world changing and mutating. I got no power, no voice, no say about it. No matter how many times I can go hoarse on a video on this one. Yelling, kicking, screaming, and doing stuff. Yeah, I feel like I'm doing a Jimmy Morrison and a song in my head, The Doors. This is the end. But it pisses me off to do the swan song on that one. I still want a democracy to work. But the thing is, the democracy, we still had to accept what the outcome is on some occasions. And, we might have other ways of trying to change things around. We still have to accept it because how democracy works is whatever the consensus is for the majority, that's going to be it. That's going to be the acceptable thing right there. The power of consent. Isn't that what they kept telling us in the government classes back in K through 12, and not to mention political science classes concerning about power of consent? People have to consent to this, and if they consent to it, then they accept the damn thing. And then wait for another cycle to come in so they can try to make the changes. And meanwhile, they got to make the momentum going on until the next cycle goes. But what terrifies them at this point? What terrifies them at this point is what happens if that option is taken away from us. And I think that should be scared enough. That should be scary enough right there. Well, we actually do have an autocratic society. And then are we going to go in for another civil war or revolution? That's what even terrifies me even further. Neighbor going against neighbor again. We're going for Civil War Part 2. Did we ever conclude the Part 1? I thought we did. So now, militant groups are the ones we got to depend upon? Or are they going to be the ones going after? Oh, yeah. Anything else pleasant to talk about? Post this on my channel and I'll send the copy over to you. through your email and maybe through a couple other items. So you can take a look at it and just scream in horror. Ah, don't mind me. I'm just a mouse sometimes.